Welcome to Stout for Christ, a radio ministry of Stout Memorial United Methodist Church in Parkersburg, West Virginia, with our host, Sarah Sisson.
I'm Sarah Sisson, host of Stout for Christ, and we're glad you're listening to our radio show today. Stout for Christ is a ministry of Stout Memorial United Methodist Church located at 3329 Broad Street in Parkersburg, West Virginia. We invite you to become a member of our Stout Church family. We offer 2 worship services each Sunday, a contemporary worship service at 8:45 and a traditional worship just following this broadcast at 10:45. If you can't join us in person, our services are broadcast live on Facebook and YouTube.
Good morning. I am Robin Stemple, and I am sitting in for our normal host, Sarah. We gave Sarah a day or 2 off, and I got to sit in today. So I'm glad to be here, and glad to see you today, Helen.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you.
Well, so today is is Father's Day. And we're gonna talk about fathers of all kinds, of all sorts, fathers from our past, fathers who are becoming fathers, and fathers who aren't birth fathers of the children that they nurture and care for. So it looks like a really good agenda for us today. So I can't wait to get started.
Thank you, Robin. And it is, and it makes me wonder. You know, oftentimes fathers think that they're last on the totem pole of things, and the ubiquitous tie that often shows up as a gift for fathers on Father's Day. I'm sure now it must be something else instead of a tie, since there's not many wear ties. But anyway, you know, as you say, a family story that came to mind around Father's Day is when Paul and I, my husband and I, went to Peru to adopt our first child. And there we had to remain, one of us had to remain for 5 weeks, and decided, since Paul knew enough Spanish to get in trouble, as well as being able to keep all the logistics of going to the various folks in terms of being able to get that process completed in terms of the adoption. So he stayed all 5 weeks. I came back after 2, and then provided pastoral care and preaching at his church at Central United Methodist in Fairmont. It was a clergy friend who reminded me of the way in which Paul deplaned in Pittsburgh with our new little 6-month-old. And, of course, seeing him come out and load it down with everything, the first thing he shoved my way was the baby. And then he walked with our friend to where he could find someplace to finally sit. He had, as he told, he had a screaming 4-month-old in a plane for 5 hours, walking the aisle, trying to get her to calm down, but nothing seemed to work, and was telling about the faces of others who were on the plane and how, but no one would help him.
That's so much pressure I can't imagine. I traveled a little bit with my son when he was young, and it's a difficult thing because you never know how a child is going to react inside of a plane. So first you have your child that you need to take care of who's screaming, and then you have all the other people around you, some of whom may be tolerant, but many of whom are not only not tolerant but are quite unhappy. And I can't imagine that Paul was very happy to be holding a 6-month-old baby who just couldn't be calmed down.
Right.
That had to be exhausting.
And it showed when he got off the plane. So the first thing that he did was to get rid of all the stuff he was carrying, including the baby, and then sat with our friend and literally bent down on the floor and kissed the tiled floor of the airport. But it was just it exhausting time.
So
But
how long was it on the plane? Do you remember how many hours?
well, he had 5 hours on the plane from
and then all the time
Peru
before.
to, yeah,
And man.
then another hour or so. But it was finally in that a little bit of time being in the airplane with her that she finally went to sleep. But
the extraordinary measures that he went to, that both of you went to, but that he went to stay in Peru, to follow the rules, to become more familiar, to do all the things you have to do when you're adopting a baby, and then to travel with her, and travel with her alone, which had to be terrifying, back to the United States, and man, what an incredible story.
And all of that to be a father. To be a father. I mean, he had other children. He'd been a father, but for us to be able to begin our nuclear family, and as you say, to go through all of those steps in order to become a father. So, today, Father's Day, we do think about those stories. We think about those stories that are close to us and why we hold Father's Day important. It is ironic that Father's Day began in Fairmont, West Virginia. The first day of service was July the 5th in 1908, and the church was named Williams Memorial Methodist Episcopal Church South at that time. But now it's called Central. Yeah, that was a mouthful.
It's a mouthful.
But now it's called Central. And every year, as Paul was pastor of that congregation, every end of the June, beginning of July, there would be a celebration in the church, remembering that they were the first Father's Day church.
So during that same period of time where he was staying in Peru and then bringing your daughter back to the United States, he was pastoring the church that was the location of the first Father's Day celebration. We know a lot about Mother's Day starting in West Virginia. We don't hear a lot about Father's Day being started in West Virginia. So that's a really memorable and monumental kind of thing. I'm sure it influenced his life and every Father's Day thereafter, and maybe every day.
Yeah, and again, like Mother's Day, it began with a single person, a person who wanted to, Sonora Smart Dodd, who wanted to be able to acknowledge her father, who was a Civil War veteran. And so it happened that then she worked with some church leaders, and they were able to have that first celebration. And now that church is named Central United Methodist Church in Fairmont.
Nice. So fathers come in all shapes and sizes, but families come in all shapes and sizes. And I was a single mom for several years, and I just know that my church family provided such an important role in my son's development. And even though he's now approaching 30, there are some of those men in that church who meant so much to us, who continue to keep in touch with him, and he keeps in touch with them, and they provide such an important role for him. Scouting provided a lot of that male influence that I so wanted for my son, since that's not something that I could deliver. So say more about the role of fathers and father figures in the lives of families of all shapes and sizes.
Well, the emphasis, as we know within our community, half of our households are single-parent families.
In the area surrounding our church here in Parkersburg, that's an astounding fact. Half of the families who live within a 1-3 mile radius, something like 1 to 3 mile radius,
10-minute drive,
within a 10-minute drive of our church, are single parent household families. That's stunning.
Mm-hmm. And like in your case, most of those single parent households are headed by women. It's the mother that is there with the child. And so we know that that male figure, that father figure, is so important in establishing a solid family foundation. And so, when T-ball starts and there are coaches who help to bring our children into those kinds of sports or something, that they play a real vital role in being being a male figure in the lives of our children. So whether we find that in school, yet so many of our elementary school teachers are female, but whether that is someone that we can find at school, or, as you mentioned, scouting, and also within the life of the church, to be able to have that kind of model. And it's important, we can talk about the why of Father's Day, but the importance is to remember that in terms of development, the development of a child's self-esteem, a child's ability to relate to both male and female, a child's ability to, feel good about themselves, often comes with that relationship that comes out of both a mother and a father, or a male figure in that family. One of my family stories also with my dad is my mom worked in a shoe plant, and so it would be my job to help my dad do the washing, the laundry. And in that time, we had a wringer washer. And, he would get things out of the wringer washer and run them through the wringer, and I'd get them in the rinse water and be able to run them through the wringer again so that they could be able to be hung on a clothesline. But it was these tasks, like having lunch ready for him when he came in from work. But it was, my dad was never one to say thank you for a lunch that I prepared, or to be able to say thank you for working with the laundry. He didn't use words like that, but I would find that when we would be out sometimes, that he would buy me a candy bar, and that would be the affirmation. After he passed away, it was one of his friends who told me, your dad was so proud of you. But I never heard that from him. But
what a gift his friend gave you by telling you that. Uh-huh. That's extremely special, and I'm sure it made a real impact. Well, you still remember it, so it obviously made an impact. Mm-hmm. I love many things about our church. One of the things that I particularly love is that we love and accept families of all kinds. Yeah. And we have such a strong family relationship there that it's just kind of hard to find in other places. Mm-hmm. So that's the church made all the difference in the world for my family and for my son, and I'm glad that our church is making that difference for other families now too.
And we want, and we want to continue to reach out to our young families. I know my son is they're 34 weeks pregnant, and I say they are, but actually it's his wife who is.
Yeah, I think they both are. I think they both are.
But just the way in which he has been talking about getting things ready, preparing, and at times feeling a bit overwhelmed. He's working on a master's degree. He's also working and trying to put things together for the upcoming little one.
I remember the birth of our first grandson, and how terrified our son was to become a father, and so afraid that he was going to do the wrong thing, or going to hold him the wrong way, or going to do something that was eternally damaging. And I see that a little bit within Philip, an excitement, but there's also a catch your breath and let's buckle up. Here we go.
Yeah, exactly.
He's so excited, and maybe excited and terrified at the same time, but so ready. And I know you're ready for to love another grandchild. There's enough love for everybody, right?
Exactly. I know when they learned that they were pregnant, Philip asked me if I would have enough, if I would not have been worn out already from the 5-year-old granddaughter.
Yeah, you don't run out.
You don't run out. That's right.
You don't run out. We just had the birth of our second grandson, and I can tell you that you don't run out. It just grows.
Yeah, right.
It just grows, and for us, it's been a little bit of a change for us to have 2 little ones in our presence, and balance our time and our attention to both of them. But love just grows. The love just grows.
That's right. And we see, in terms of that love that grows, it's important for that to be able to be in a community, and that's why encouraging our young families around to say, hey, let's look at Stout in terms of as a place, because whatever people say about Hillary Clinton, when she wrote that book, It Takes a Village to Raise a Child, it really does. And if folks are finding themselves, whether it's because of work or that they're now located in Parkersburg or Vienna or around, and they don't have the family support around to say, Grandma, will you come? That's why we need a church family to help surround us, so that there could be others, even from the church, who would be a wonderful grandma that is not the actual grandma, or a grandpa.
It may not be related by blood, but definitely related in the sense of being part of the same church family.
Exactly.
Then we have several families who actually have no family in the community at all, and so we see each other on holidays. We invite each other to our homes for holidays. There's a family who always enjoys holidays at our house with us, and they're welcome just like family. And recognized within our biological family, or they're welcomed and recognized as a very important part of our family. And all that started because of a relationship that was developed within the walls of our church, and within this common interest of worshiping and praising and believing in a God who loves us and saves us, and who is our Father in heaven, no matter what our family situation is, and a Father who takes us and accepts us and picks us up and dusts us off and sets us back on our feet whenever we mess up, and we do. We do mess up. Loves us anyway. That's the community where I've wanted to be. It's the community where I wanted to raise my child, and it's the community that we enjoy within the walls of our congregation and outside of that, outside of those walls as well.
Yeah. And Robin, when you spoke about our Heavenly Father, I just have always loved that word Abba, or however we want to say it.
Not the musical group.
No, that's right. That's right. Just because it doesn't mean father, it means daddy. It's such
a difference.
Personal. It is a difference, and that's who God is for us. God is daddy, and I know as people grew up within their families, they had those daddy moments with their own father or grandfather, and it is just a special way of feeling embraced and loved, and loved, and not judged kind of loved, but that kind of love that is so special, and that's what we can also share with church in terms of that daddy.
So we just offer the invitation. If you're looking for a church home, if you want to know more about a Father in heaven who loves you and loves your family, no matter what your situation or circumstance, no matter whether you're young or old or in between, single, married, it doesn't matter. God takes us all, and you're all welcome within the walls of our congregation, of our church, and we invite you.
Amen. Certainly we do.
Thank you, Helen.
Well, thank you, Robin.
If you were blessed by this program today and want to know more about how you can become part of the Stout Memorial United Methodist family, tune in to Stout Memorial's Facebook Live worship broadcast just after this program at 10:45 a.m. Send an email to stoutmemorial@gmail.com or attend a worship service in person at 8:45 and 10:45 each Sunday morning. This has been Stout for Christ, a radio ministry of Stout Memorial United Methodist Church, Parkersburg, West Virginia.